In this video, I'm going to show you a crucial mechanic for endgame farming, resetting dungeons. If you're playing solo, open the action wheel and pick Leave Dungeon. This teleports you to the outside of the dungeon. Once you leave this dungeon, it starts a timer for when that dungeon will reset. It will reset on its own. It just takes a couple of minutes. So it's been about 2 minutes since I left the dungeon. I walked back in and we have the task and the map is not cleared. So this dungeon is now reset. The other way to reset your dungeon when you're playing solo is step 1, leave the dungeon. Be at the entrance of the dungeon, because what we're going to do now is press escape and select leave game. And if you're in the dungeon when you do this, you'll be teleported back to town. So make sure you're out of the dungeon, select leave game, and then when you enter back into the game, you will be right at the dungeon entrance. So here's what that looks like if you leave game and you're in the dungeon. So here we are, back in Kyovashad, not in front of our dungeon. Just leave the dungeon first. That's all you gotta do. So if you're just farming dungeon after dungeon after dungeon and you're getting sick of logging out and logging in, then maybe just do like 2 or 3 dungeons. You know, just pick a good cluster, do a couple dungeons that are close to each other, and then log out and log in. Then you can just have like a series that you can do, like a circuit. If you're playing in a party, then resetting is much faster and doesn't require logging out. Make sure both players are in the dungeon. One player exits the dungeon, and then you have to disband the party. Once the party is disbanded, the other player who's inside the dungeon now leaves the dungeon. Once you're both out of the dungeon and not in a party, you can reform the party, and you should get this prompt. You're about to be transferred to the party leader's world. Transfer now. If you don't get this prompt, it's because the game placed you both in the same map session, and this just means that the dungeon hasn't been reset for either of you, and when you go inside, it's not going to be reset. In which case, just follow the steps again. Now you can enter the dungeon, and you can see here that the dungeon is reset. And now you know how to reset a dungeon, whether you're playing solo or in a party. Good luck and happy farming.